Has this ever happened to you? Well, now at Session 0, all your problems will go away. With one easy payment of $6.66. Rest easy, DMs.
Hi everyone, welcome to Hot Girls Crits. I am Jesus.
I'm Carice.
And today we're going to be discussing Session 0. And why it's important? Because it's very important for any ttrpg. Essentially, what Session 0 is, it's the game you have before your first game. Hence, the setup in there. So, Carice, what's that Session 0 to you?
To me, it's whenever I DM or as a player, it's just you want to gather everybody that you've invited to your game and make sure that you're all on the same page. You establish not just your homebrew rules if you have any, but your actual table rules. That the list of boundaries that you as a DM have with your players and that you expect them to abide by, and you lay out the exact style of game that you are going to be game mastering. So that way, if it doesn't vibe with any of your players, then they know that you are not the dungeon master for them and this is not the game for them, or you vice versa, you know that they are not the kind of players that you're looking for.
I think that very, very well and eloquently. All right, video over, and no. I mean, it's essentially that's what you do. Discussing. You are discussing. You're discussing what you're gonna play, what you're gonna do, and what works, what doesn't work. And I mean, you guys are all making a huge commitment for the next, I don't know,
however long.
Yeah.
Depends on how many sessions you're planning, or if you have a set amount of sessions planned.
Yeah.
But
and with most D&D games, in most TTRPGs, you're setting the ground rules for like your friendship for a while, because these games get intense and you are going to learn things about yourself and explore things about yourself that, like, we need to set some safety guidelines, and that's pretty dope. So here are some things that we do here at the D&D table that hopefully will translate and work for y'all Session 0. First, establish what game you're playing, right? Like, it's a epic fantasy. It's a Midwestern. Is it low magic, high magic? Like, what are we playing? What are we tailing our characters to, right? And you should set like what the tone is. Is it gonna be a big spooky game? Is it gonna be a silly rom-com game? What the pace is gonna be? Is it bi-weekly, every single week? Is it a once a month? Because you don't want to make a silly, goofy character for a very serious dungeon daddy vampire game, unless that is the vibe that you guys want. Because I mean, if I'm doing Curse of Strahd and everyone comes with like a surfer character, that actually sounds like a really great game. Never mind, I actually want to roleplay that game. So
it depends if that's what you're also looking for too. Because some DMs might get annoyed by that, you know.
And that's what exactly the Session 0 is. It's like we're just we're bouncing ideas. We're gonna come back and forth. We're gonna see what works, what doesn't work. In like in your character creation, that's also what we do here for our Session 0. It's like we sit down, we create our characters. Are there going to be any limitations? What do you allow? What don't you allow? Because essentially we're all just a collaborative storytelling game. That's what this is. And you need to be clear about what your motivations are, what your backstories are, what we're getting across.
Just your style of play in general.
Yeah.
Because everybody plays D&D differently, which is
100%.
wonderful. It's a collaborative experience. It's totally fine. There's no really one right way to play this game.
Yeah.
Everybody plays differently. You're not going to want to play in a game as a player. If you are, let's say you're a hack and slash and you love combat, you love really intense fights, you're not so much into the role play aspects, and your friend invites you to their game and you sit at the table, there was no Session 0, and it's like a political campaign.
Yeah.
And you're just playing game like House of the Dragon, you know? And you're like, oh, well, this sucks, you know?
This is a story time. I did have a person that came up to, because we host monthly games at a brewery, and a wife and husband came up to us and were like, we play D&D with each other, but she doesn't know how to play the game very well. And she's like, I do know how to play the game. It's just I don't like how you guys play it. Because I never had a session 0. Because his table is hack and slash, and she is a professional actress, and she wants to roleplay, and he doesn't want to roleplay. They never had a session 0. Introduction to session 0 ideas. Oh, we should have had this talk. And now they have a much better communication, a much better way of playing their games. With that, I do want to say motivations and goals. I did that so I can put a little thing. And now if I don't do it, I'm outing myself in the future. I'm outing the editor.
Editor Jesus, you better
editor,
freaking do that,
yeah.
or else it's gonna look so awful.
It's gonna look terrible. So motivations and goals. I do like the idea that in your session 0, and it doesn't have to be fully fleshed out because your character is never done. Like, I mean, Carissa, how long is your character's backstory? To be honest.
It's not too bad. It was only like, not including me answering like personal questions, I think it was like 3 pages.
And are you done with it?
No.
Or are you still at exactly right? We're still adding to our personal for our character's backstories, but motivations, goals should be a thing that you're discussing in session 0 because now your dungeon master, your game master knows what they should look for, what they should do. Even if it's something such as, I want to fight a dragon. I want to be on a spaceship. I want to have a beach episode. Like, these aren't like, I want to find vengeance for the one who betrayed me. Like, that's dope, that's cool. Any information could give a little bit of a glimpse of who your character is, and that helps your dungeon master know more about your character, helps you write more about your character, and we're all moving forward at the same time. We're all learning. And also, just a tidbit that if you want your character story arc to shine, if you want a story arc, you should give your characters a backstory, give those to the dungeon masters. Don't expect them to have something planned out if you don't give them anything. But
that's a session 0 thing, because some DMs don't want backstories.
What?
Yeah, I have spoken with DMs. They're like, we don't want to do character arcs. We don't want a backstory.
Okay.
And that's valid, but it's a session 0 thing. I couldn't play with a dungeon master like that personally because I get too invested into my characters.
Yeah, for sure. And that does make sense. There are if you're a first-time dungeon master and you want to run a module and like there's really
nothing wrong with that.
Backstory. Like, I just want to get into it. I want to learn the mechanics of it. We're all learning, and like, if you have a backstory, that's great, but it's really not going to take effect and change the outcome of the story. That's fine.
Yeah, just like
have a session 0.
Let your players know. Like, you can totally write your backstory. I will not be using it. You know?
That's fine, and that's okay. But if your players aren't groovy with that, and then that's what the session is about. How much information can I have? Maybe in your session 0, if a player's backstory has an NPC that perfectly mimics or matches, or maybe a tweak or two for someone in the campaign or the module, switch out the person, switch out the name, add a few details here and there. But that's all part of the world building. That's all part of the lore that you're putting, and that's what we're here to learn at session 0. Who are you playing? What are you doing? Let's collaboratively tell the story. Let's move forward. Let's cohesively tell this web. And I actually have been working on a thing that I'm going to implement in the next campaign, where it's essentially you have this. It's 2 versions. Either it's a web or there's just like a rule sheet, where essentially every player will sit around the table and tell another player how they know each other. How they're related in some way or form, so when they start the game, we have something to role play or move forward with. Instead of just being like, I don't know who this person is, I don't want to risk my life with them. It helps that.
Yeah, so in session 0 you would establish, I need all of my players to at least know one other party member.
Yeah.
To make it easier for me as a dungeon master to gather all of your characters into a party.
Yeah.
That is an expectation that you would have for your players, and you would tell them that at session 0.
Yeah, there's a few ways how I've been personally toying around with how I do that. There's one where you can write down on little note card secrets. And like I know a secret about somebody, and then you have it on your side, and you can reveal them later. There is another one where like you just say it out loud, like, "Oh, this person saved my life." Maybe they don't remember that they saved my life in like a burning building, or maybe I was drowning while I was fishing and I fell in, and they kind of just pulled me out. For their character, it was just they passed by, saw a drowning elf, pulled me out of the water, meant nothing to them. They were just on their way from point A to point B. For my character, that person saved my life. I saw if they had a necklace of Paylor. That's when I became a cleric of Paylor. Like, these little simple things, like, you're the person that actually changed my entire life. Like, that's a cool story. That's a cool roleplay moment. And they don't have to be that deep. It could be, oh yeah, I remember you. I sold a pig to that guy. Like, it's just something that we can work on.
Exactly, which is something that you go over with in session 0 with your to make sure that both players are comfortable with that as well.
That is the main
thing. And so that way,
thing.
one player isn't just adding on to the other player's backstory without their permission.
Yeah,
you would establish that that's something that's going to be happening in your campaign.
Yeah.
And if people are not okay with that, they have the ability. They haven't invested anything yet into your game. They can bow out.
Yeah, that's why I was like with the idea of like, should I do this privately or not? And that's why I do want to do it out loud in front of everyone, because as a DM you are the referee, you can say yay or nay to that. Because someone's like, no, I don't want to do that specific thing for whatever reason. Then they have a note, then make up something else. It also helps establish against the lone wolf person who's like, I don't have any ties with anyone and I don't have a motivation to keep following you, then why are you part of the story? Like, let's move the story forward.
I feel like you're calling out my current character.
No, your current character, and that's follow our live sessions, our live play, because Carice is a lone wolf, but she did it in a way that makes sense, and she's learning and adapting to what friendship is, and learning to trust individuals, and is growing.
Rex is giving a side eye at this. He's just like,
they're my friends. So.
If you're a lone wolf, but you spent the last year with all these people, you're not a lone wolf. And like, you're...
Inside me, there are 2 lone wolves, and they're both kissing.
And we're like, me. But the session, it's a great way for you to start your story. Other people to start understanding who your character is, and you start that world building process. But also, Session 0 is a great place for you to start having your house rules. That's another
house rules. We can get more into character creation also in another video, which we are going to cover.
Yes.
Make sure if it's already posted, it'll be linked here, and if not, be on the lookout. But anyway.
Yeah. Because the game, every single person who's played D and or the Ds has their house rules. Session 0 is a great place to tell everyone what your house rules is, because it's so infuriating to play the game and be like, actually, in my game, that's not allowed. I didn't know that. In my game, a god could just stop giving you spells. I wouldn't have played a cleric if I knew that was an option.
Yeah, literally, like, I'm not going to have access to the cleric spells that I thought I would have access to.
So house rules are important. To tell the players what are the yays and nays. Like, we have a few simple ones that we like making sure everyone knows, like potions or bonus actions. If it says I know in the game you can't cast a bonus action spell and an action spell, but I say to hell with it. If it says bonus action, cast it. You can cast Healing Word and
Guiding Bolt.
Yeah, at the same time. That's fine. It's whatever. It's cool. We also have a special rule confirm crits. Or if you get an extra 20, roll to confirm. It's a special house rule. That's just extra flavor and fun. And I explained that at session 0. It's just a little extra thing that we do that has no mechanics in the book. It's just explain that. And if you have those, this is the time to explain them. Like, oh, cool, these are new things that you will see eventually.
Exactly. House rules are just an important thing to make sure if you're not jiggy with certain house rules, you don't have to play in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not already committed.
Yeah, and just like a job interview, when you are the interviewee, you're also interviewing them to see if that is the right fit for you. Same thing. You're interviewing the DM to see if that is the right table for you. And save your friendship if this isn't the right table. This isn't the right table.
Not all friends are D&D friends, even if you all play D&D. You don't have to play D&D with all of your friends. You're not all gonna vibe.
Yeah. And I think that's a great segue into the safety tools. Because
very important.
I think session 0 should primarily just be safety tools. It could be simply as what are we gonna rate our game? Is it PG, PG-13, rated R, or else more? And like I think our table, it's like borderline R to PG-13.
I would say we're rated like I would say M for mature. That's
Yeah.
what I would say.
We just there's some topics that we're like that's not.
There are some, yeah,
that
exactly.
we're just like we're never gonna cover those because I do not want to cover them, and I'm very, very happy that the majority of my players are like, I also never will want to cover those rules
Exactly.
or explore those things, and that is something that you do. And I have a very quick session 0 before any, because I host once a month games, and before any game with its new people that I've never played with before, I have safety rules. I'm like, I have a little box with an X card. If anything I say you're not comfortable with, just pull the X card for any reason and I will stop immediately. If you don't have that, just put it in an X. You don't have to explain your reason why. You're just like, that doesn't, I'm not okay with that. Like, I have players with phobias. We don't have werewolf transformations in my game. We don't have spiders in my game. They exist, but we just don't talk about it. Like, you don't have to talk about taking a shit in your game. We don't talk about these things.
We don't roleplay that stuff,
Yeah.
you know.
It could be something as simple as, I also cover soft lines and hard lines. Like, what is a 100% no, and like, okay, but like tone it down.
Yeah, okay, but tastefully done. Tasteful is a poor wording for it, but you know what I mean, to where it's not extreme.
Like,
And it's respectfully done, respectfully
yes,
done.
like, they made out and then curtains, done.
Exactly. Unless you specify that it is an E word or roleplay game,
Yeah.
then nobody wants to hear
Yeah, yeah. It's
you RPing that
yeah, it's not
adult content.
and no one wants that. Don't just introduce that. You will find that is the fastest way you to get kicked out of a game if you just explicitly just start role playing that stuff.
Yep.
Because we've done it at games at just comic book shops and bars and stuff. Like, that's not cool, and that's it. You're out. You had one warning. It was 20 minutes ago, and that's it. You're out. But also, players, if a line does get crossed, I know it might be hard, and it might be one of the most hardest things you do because these are your friends. But say, hey, can we not right now? Like, even if it was okay 2 weeks ago and something changed and right now it's not, then it's not okay right now.
Yeah, and if you don't feel comfortable saying it or like outing yourself or something, just DM the DM.
Yeah.
Like, yo, I don't want to do this anymore. So
Yeah.
that way they have the ability to change what's happening, basically.
And you could even
Change the
just be like,
direction.
I need to take a break. If you don't want to explain yourself, don't have to. Like, I need to take a break. It cuts the roleplay, cuts the immersion, cuts everything off. Like, we just need a break. We need to take 5. Have a one-on-one if you need to. Do what you need to, because you also need to be safe. There are plenty of forums online on safety tools. There are plenty of session 0 guidelines that can like explicitly say like, is this okay? Like Like one of the things that we 100% like harm to animals, we don't do. Like every single puppy is okay, every single thing is like perfectly fine, and there's a plethora of tools and forms online that you can just find, consent forms and stuff like that you can just get.
Even if you can't think of specific rules, like you were saying, you can find those consent forms.
Yeah.
You can go through and you can edit them, like on Google,
Yeah.
like on a Google Doc or something.
Yeah, and if something like, I never thought that was going to be a trigger for me, and it is, your players have to be, your party has to be okay with it, and your really cool dungeon with the spider does not trump someone's safety. It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But
Yeah.
that is why session 0 is so important, because it could be that nobody in your party has literally any boundaries, which is not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it could, you know?
Yes.
So it's important to know those
Yeah.
things. That's why session 0, I don't think you should have a game without a session 0.
100%. Yeah.
And if you can't have a quote-unquote session 0, nobody wants, but just send the rules to all of them.
Yeah.
Send the rules and be like, do you agree to these rules? If you don't, this is not the game for you.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And the other little thing that you should do at such was just discuss like scheduling, logistics, like just simple little things like when are we meeting? How long are our breaks? Should we have food at the table? What about like fidget spinners? What about distractions? Can we have our phones out? Can I play Magic the Gathering at this table? Like, no, don't. Some games they do. I have a story about that. That will probably be a video for later, at a part 2, I think. But like, we stopped having scented candles in our games because people were allergic to them. Like the open conversations, the logistics continues to have. Some people want to vape. Can I vape in this room? No, you cannot. If you need a vape, we had a session 0. Please go outside, vape, do the thing you need to do, and then come back in. Is your every 10 minute smoke break too much of a distraction? Session 0. All these things always boil down. Actually, I think most conversations, most things that are a set issue in D&D always boil down to you didn't have a session 0.
Honestly, yeah. So many issues could have been solved.
Yeah. But
There's a weird light going off.
yes, that weird light says that the battery's about to die.
My hair was as long as yours. The fuck?
Alright, so in conclusion, session 0 is practically just communication. It is discussing before the game, before you start your first game, do's, don'ts, what are your boundaries, and what, if any, house rules you have, what to expect. And I think that will do it.
Yeah. It basically just helps you figure out and weed out that not all friends are D&D friends.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. You're... But D&D is the best way for you to make out with your friends. D&D is just an excuse for you to flirt with your friends.
Oh my
god. No. Consent forms.
Acting. Consent. Fine.
Consent forms.
But I think who knows, maybe in the future we'll do another session 0 video, who knows,
Yeah.
but that's what we have for now though.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Carice.
I'm Jesus.
And make sure that you do all the things like comment, subscribe. If you guys are interested in checking out any of our live games, we do stream every Friday on Twitch.
Yes, we do.
At 7 p.m. Central.
Yes.
If you want to catch up with it, here's a playlist for our current one that we are doing.
Yeah.
Age of Maya.
Yeah. And all the information is down below.
There.
So go follow us. We'll do all the things. Adios, everybody.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.